Hey, everybody, welcome. This is Jason Clemens, Doctor of Chiropractic at the Rock Health and Wellness Center. And this is Life with Jason Clemens, DC. We are live right here in the Rock Health and Wellness Center studios in Lubbock, Texas, the mecca of health and wellness. And we're live on the radio at 98.7 Walk by Faith, 1420 AM, Lubbock Christian Nation, 987radio.com. We're streaming on all of our social media pages and Facebook, YouTube, and X. If you guys want us out there, that's where we are. And man, just open my Facebook right here, and I see that picture of that racetrack in Ruidoso, and that's just unbelievable, man. I went to my first races in Ruidoso in the 70s. We were living in Oklahoma. My uncle had a horse running out there, and we went out and watched Itty Bitty Bar. You can look it up. I think it's either 1976 or 1977. It was my first trip that I remember going to Ruidoso. She won the race, and we got to take a win picture that day. And that was sometime either 76 or 77 that happened. It's my first trip out there. Never seen that racetrack look like that. That was so horrible. 2008, it flooded, and then now it flooded last year, and it flooded again. Bless those guys' heart. All those people in Ruidoso, we're praying for them. We're praying for the people in Central Texas. There's just a lot of stuff going on out there, and that's tragic. But there's a lot of stuff going on in Lubbock too. And there's a lot of things going on with health, and we're going to talk about them tonight. And we're really going to talk about some serious stuff. If you missed the last few shows, they're pretty cool. It really got into, and it probably got too far into, dysfunctional joints causing dysfunctional brain. And man, if I could talk about that today, it's the things that I've seen in the office, the things that we saw in the office today, and man, just how important it is to make sure that you keep your health. I mean, if I could just have everybody just stop what you're thinking for a second. Just stop. Stop what you're doing. If you're at home, just stop what you're doing for just a second. If you're scrolling through your phone, just stop for just a second. If you're cooking supper, or if you're driving down the street, obviously don't stop. But if you're listening to us on the radio, but just stop. Everybody, just stop for just a second and think about this. If you lose your health, you've got one problem to think about. What do they say? The guy with health has 1,000 problems to think about. The guy that loses his health has one problem to think about. When you lose your health, it's bad. It's really, really bad. And so, man, the new patients that I had today in the office, bless their hearts, and I'm so excited that they're here. And we've got so much work to do. And I'm so glad that they made that choice to come get checked. And I would just put that right in front of you tonight. No matter what you do, no matter what you do for a living, no matter where you are, no matter what your function is, it's like, look, if your health is not fabulous, you should call 806-794-0400. You should text me, 806-794-0400. Stop today. Stop today and make a decision to get your health back in order. I'll help you. It doesn't matter where you live on the planet. No matter where you're listening to us from. If you're in Chicago, or you're in Florida, or you're in India, it doesn't make any difference. Text me 806. I don't know what the international codes are. You can send me a message on social media if you want to. 806-794-0400. Just stop today and get your health in order. It's not that hard. One of my guys today said, I said, how's your diet? Because I hadn't seen him in 4 weeks. And I said, how's your diet? And he said, well, I kind of fell off the wagon. And I was like, well, how come no one ever says I fell off the bad eating wagon? Nobody ever says, well, man, I used to be eating really bad, but I just fell off that wagon and now I'm eating good again. We never fall back on the wagon. It's always, we get off track and then it's like get back on track. And I told him, I was like, dude, just get back on track. Like, start today. Start today and start getting your cells in an environment that's congruent with health. Start today and start working on your health. Like, there is nothing more important than your health. I promise you. There's nothing you can do because let's just say you're a stay-at-home mom. You're a stay-at-home mom and you've got the kids and you got your husband. And then you get sick. What happens to the family unit? The family unit crashes. What if you're the one that's taking care of the sick person and you lose your health? What happens? Chaos. Chaos happens. Right? What if you're the breadwinner of your family? Well, you guys driving down the street right now, listening to the radio, 98.7. You're on your way home from work, and you're the breadwinner of your family, but you're overweight and you're out of shape and you're eating crap and you're full of inflammation and you got all these problems, but you're too busy to do anything about it because you got to go to work and you got to come home and all that sort of thing, right? Just stop for just a second and think about how damaging that's going to be for everybody involved if you go down. Right? We don't give ourselves enough credit for being important. We don't give ourselves enough credit for saying, look, this is important. And man, the people I got to take care of today, it's just like, shoot, like we've been late. We're late to the party to help them with their health. It's like we got some catching up to do. And you just don't want to be in that spot. You don't want to be in that spot where you're catching up on your health. And I've been in that spot. I know what that spot feels like. And it's like, thank goodness I got moving in somewhat of a good direction with my health. And if you are moving in a good direction with your health, then help somebody else. Be an evangelist, right? Help somebody else move forward with their health. Because it's just really, really important. And I know I'm just preaching to the choir probably, but man, if you're one of those people, I sure hope you stop. I sure hope you stop and just send me a text. And let's get you going in the right direction. Let's get you the supplements that you need. Let's get you, not from me. You could get them from anywhere. Go to Drug Emporium and get them, or go to Nature's Tonic and get them. It doesn't make any difference. Get the nutrients, right? What do you need? What do you need for your body to function better? What do you need for your brain to function better, right? Let's just talk about this stuff tonight. I've got an article. We'll talk about magnesium and calcium here in a minute and finish up with our Stanford study like we talked about last night. But like, look, it's the brain health. Brain health, fuel, activation. Those are two simple things. Fuel. I got to get the right fuel into the brain tissue. I've got to make sure the fuel, right? There is from a fuel standpoint, there's the correct fuel, and then there is the bad fuel. What are you supposed to have in your brain? What does the brain need to function properly? What are the nutrients that the brain needs in order to function properly? And what are the nutrients that are anti-brain function? What are those things that you can put in your body that causes your brain to function badly, right? Like aspartame. Aspartame is one of those things that's in diet drinks. It's in all kinds of all kinds of chewing gum and things like that. It's in all kinds of product, aspartame. Aspartame is a neurotoxin. Neurotoxin. Okay? A neurotoxin. A neurotoxin is toxic to your neurology. It's toxic to your brain. It's like Roundup for your brain. It's like if you're going to spray Roundup, which is another toxin that gets on you, right? If you're going to spray Roundup on a weed, what happens to the weed? It shrivels up and dies, right? What if you sprayed water on a weed? What happens to the weed? It grows, right? The weed responds to the water and sunshine and grows. The weed responds to the Roundup and shrivels and dies. Those are two different chemicals. Those are two different nutrients that you could give to the weed, and you'll get a completely different response based on which one of those you give. The brain cells are just like those weeds. Those brain cells, if you give them proper nutrients, proper proteins, proper fatty acids, proper um, carbohydrates, if you give them that, you put them in the proper environment, that brain cell flourishes and functions properly. If you give them the wrong stuff, put the wrong fuel in the body, the brain cells shrivel. They don't function properly. They get choked out. They don't function. And that's one of my ladies asked me today that she's like, okay, she's new. This is her second visit. And we went over her stuff. I gave her notebook, and showed her x-rays and did all the things that we do. And and I said, look, one of the things, you got to reverse cervical curve. It changes the way your brain functions. And she said, well, how would I know? And this was a great question. How would I know that my brain's not functioning properly? Well, let's go through the things that your brain does. I mean, let's just talk about the obvious things that your brain does. Like, number one, can you remember things? How's your memory? Is your memory working properly? And she's like, not really. And she's older than 65. And she's like, no, my brain's really not, I'm forgetting things a lot. Okay. That's one thing that you could say. Okay, look, from a fuel and activation standpoint, if I was going to really talk about fuel and activation and I was going to talk about fuel, am I fueling my brain properly? Okay, how do I know if I'm fueling my brain properly? My brain works well. That's one way to know it. How do I know if I'm not fueling my brain properly? My brain's not working well. That would be the other thing, right? How is your anxiety level? Would you consider yourself anxious? Would you consider yourself nervous? How's your depression? And I'm not talking about clinical anxiety or clinical depression. I'm not talking about clinically diagnosed anxiety or clinically diagnosed depression. I'm talking to you as a person right now at 6:16 on a Wednesday, whatever this is, right? I'm talking to you right now, just you and I. We're just having a conversation together. I'm asking you, do you feel depressed? Like, do you feel depressed? Yes or no? Do you do you feel okay, let's look at the other way. Do you feel as awesome as you think you should feel? Like right now, like you think if I say, "Hey, do you feel awesome tonight?" Do you say, "Yes, I feel awesome?" Or do you say, "I really don't, Jason. I don't feel awesome." Okay, that's a start. That's a start. You should feel awesome right now. I mean, I don't even care what you've been doing. I had multiple bike riders today saying they're going to come in. One of them is going to go ride 40 miles. When you get finished with that 40 miles, you'll be tired, but do you feel awesome? I don't care if you worked all day long. If you worked all day long, I worked all day long. I started at 7:30 this morning. Right, I'm fired up right now. Right? Like we're in the 12th hour of work. And I'm as excited right now talking to you than I've been all day long talking to anybody else. It's like, wait a minute. This is your 12th hour. Shouldn't you be dragging right now? Shouldn't you be worn out right now? Oh boy, I bet you're tired right now. No, I'm not. I'm not tired right now. And there's some of you out there that are, I promise you, there's some of you out there that are full speed right now. You're just like, I feel awesome. And there's some of you out there that's been so long since you felt awesome, you don't even remember what that's like, right? That is a sign. That's a sign that you might have your brain cells in an environment that's incongruent with health. That's a sign right there. That your anxiety, your depression. How are you sleeping? That's a question. Do you have any GERD, acid reflux? What? Wait, 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 wait. What did you just say? GERD? Yeah, I've got GERD. Like, except I don't really have acid reflux because they put me on Prilosec or whatever. It's under control with my drug. No, 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 no. I'm not talking about that. It's not under control with your drug. Like, I had a patient recently that came in that's on 13 medications. That on 13 medications. You guys know how fired up I get about this whole idea of this nonsensical BS term that is now in society called evidence-based medicine. I hear it from all the people. I hear it from the chiropractors, I hear it from the medical doctors, I hear it from all of them. And they will make an argument on evidence-based medicine. There is no evidence on the planet. There's What is the standard, right? The standard is a randomly controlled clinical trial. I I would I would love for someone out there, if you guys have the time to do it, I would love for you to find me a randomly controlled clinical trial with two medications at the same time in the body. If you can find it for me, I'd like to see it because I would like to be proven wrong so I can quit spewing this misinformation, right? Because I've been told, and I've tried to find it over the years, the randomly controlled clinical trial of the patients or the people in the trial that were given two or more pharmaceuticals at the same time. And then show me what the randomly controlled clinical trial said about that pharmaceutical, that combination of those pharmaceuticals. To my knowledge, that's never happened in the history of mankind. To my knowledge, no randomly controlled clinical trial has ever been done on 13 medications inside the human body and tested the physiology that went on inside the human body. And I don't know one single person on 13 medications that's healthy. I don't know anybody that's taken 13 medications that considers themselves healthy. Like, yeah, doc, I feel fantastic. I'm just killing it with my 13 medications. But this person comes in, and I'm like, and I had a conversation with the person, and I said, "Look, what do you do for a living?" And they told me what they did for a living, and I said, "You're really good at it, aren't you?" And they said, "Yeah, I'm really good at it. I'm really good at what I do for a living." And I said, "Let me ask you a question. Would you ask any of those doctors that put you on those 13 medications to come to your place of business and do your job for you?" And they just started laughing. They're like, "No, I wouldn't ask any of those doctors to come do my job." Right? And I was like, "Why wouldn't you ask them to come do your job?" And they said, "Well, I don't need their help. I got this." Right? All of a sudden you could feel the power of that person. You could feel their, like, they set up straighter. Like, they all of a sudden they had some cockiness about themselves. They just all of a sudden just, you could see it in their being. They're like, "No, I'm not going to have a doctor come to my place and do my thing." Like, if you're a master electrician, you're a master electrician. You are the you know electricity inside and out, right? You could wire every building in town. You're that good at electricity. Are you telling me that you're going to let medical doctors, you're not going to call the medical doctor to come to your business and do the electrician work, right? But you're going to tell me that you're going to walk into their office and you're going to completely give up all of your power? You're going to just do whatever they say? You're just going to follow blindly whatever they're talking about, and you're going to end up taking 13 pharmaceuticals every single day because the doctor told you that you're supposed to do that? And you're going to get sicker and sicker and sicker. Your joints are going to wear out. You got to get on your acid reflux medication because your acid reflux is a cause of all the crap that you're taking in your body, right? And we know that acid reflux is secondary to brain, which is stress. See, that's this combination right here. Brain, right side, increased stress, decreased digestion equals acid reflux. Now, let's just say you did not have acid reflux until your sixth medication, until you got to number six. Then, after number six, all of a sudden, with all the medications that you're taking, you've all of a sudden developed acid reflux. Just stop. I'll calm down, and we'll all calm down together, right? You all of a sudden developed acid reflux after your sixth medication. What happened in your body? What happened in your body that, based on that little map right there, what happened in your body that all of a sudden now they got to put you on whatever, improbazole or whatever the stuff is called. I don't even know the names of all those meds. I never cared to study them, right? Whatever it is, your proton pump inhibitor, because you got too much acid in your esophagus or whatever, right? What happened? If we mapped it out like this and we said, look, you didn't develop acid reflux until after your sixth medication. Well, acid reflux is a sign of stress in the right hemisphere of the brain. 6 medications, according to innate intelligence, is stressful. The brain is trying to figure out what in tarnations is going on in here. What are we doing with all these pharmaceuticals? Well, it's like, whoa, the brain is like stressed out, trying to figure out, how do I balance physiology? What did we talk about last night? Physiology, adapt to your environment. Adapted physiology is what we want. Unadapted physiology is pathology. That's disease, right? The brain is trying to figure out, how do I adapt to the environment? And in the environment is like, I'm trying to drive the blood pressure up and you're trying to drive the blood pressure down. I'm trying to get enough acid in the stomach to make sure I can digest the food, and you're trying to drive the acid down so that it doesn't get in your esophagus. You've got some sort of, I'm trying to keep you up at night because you can't, I don't want you to sleep because you're stressed out, and you're telling me that you want to sleep. Your anxiety is out of control, so we're going to take an anxiety med. You can't concentrate, so we need to take an ADD med. And then all of a sudden, you got gout in your foot, and then here comes your eczema, and then it's like, wow, God dang, man, right? Like, I think it's cruel. I think it's like unbelievable. I think it's unbelievable from both sides of the picture. And I got to say this because someone will turn me into the state board. It's not within my scope of practice to tell any human being to take medication or not take medication in the state of Texas. I'm not allowed to do that. That's not within my scope of practice. I'm telling you, from me to you right now, I'm telling you, you should take your power back of your health. That's why I try to teach every single night. I try to teach you all these things so that you can take your power back. You should go into your medical doctor's office and say, Doc, why am I taking 13 medications? And the doctor's going to say, I didn't even know you were taking 13 medications, because you have 4 or 5 different doctors, because they'll send you to this doctor, and then that doctor is going to send you to this doctor, and then that doctor that gave you pain medications for your spine is going to send you to this doctor to tell you to burn the nerves on your back. And then that doctor is going to send you to this other doctor that's going to tell you that your blood sugar's off. And then it's like they don't even communicate with each other. And no one's going to say, look, dude, 13 medications is too many medications for a human being. And this idea that we're all evidence-based is horse pookie, is what that is. Man, if I wasn't on a Christian radio station right now, my language would get out of control. It's like unbelievable. It's unbelievable right there what people are living in on a daily basis. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to live that way. You don't have to live that way. It's simple. It's simple. If you put a cell in the proper environment, it's the seed thing, right? It's like, put the seed. I know we talked about this before, but it's cotton country out here in West Texas. If I took a cotton seed and I put it right here on the table, let's imagine this was a big giant cotton seed. I put it right here on the table. I locked this room up. Nobody could come into this room. Nothing was going to happen in this room for 1 year. When I came back, let's don't go a year. Let's go 3 months. I came back in 3 months. I opened up the door. What would we find sitting right here on the table? What would we find? We would find a cotton seed sitting on the table. Would I find a cotton plant sitting on the table? If I left this building and I came back in 3 months, would this cotton seed turn into a cotton plant? Nope, it would not. Why wouldn't it? Because it's in the wrong environment. This environment is not proper for that seed to turn into a plant. But if we took the same seed on the other side of the wall, dug a hole out there in the yard, stuck the seed in the hole, covered it up, protected it a little bit, made sure it had enough water, in 3 months, what would I find in the middle of my yard out there? I'd find a plant. I wouldn't find a seed. Why? Because I put the seed in an environment that was congruent to grow a plant. Now, the seed somehow knew that. The seed had that innate wisdom. The seed somehow knew that if it was to sit right here on top of this desk for 3 months, nothing would happen. But if you took the seed out into the field and planted it in the field, it's like almost like it has a spirit to it. It just has an intelligence that it can grow into a plant. That's when we get back from the break, because we've got to take a break. We'll finish that, and then we'll get into some magnesium and calcium to show you what happens inside the body. You guys stick around. We'll be right back. My daughter gets on to me because she says, "You're too intense, Dad. You're too intense. Like, I can't watch your show because you just talk too intense. I can't handle it." And she's probably right. But I'm telling you what, it's like it's worth being intense, man. It's worth being intense. If I can help you listening to this show, if I can help you be healthier, I'm willing to be intense. Those people that came to see me today, like, it's almost like I wish I could just grab them and put them right behind me and just get a big old sword. And what Coach Leach used to talk about here at Texas Tech, swing your sword. Like, I don't want to swing my sword at them. They don't know any better. It's not their fault, right? I'm not trying to get them in trouble. I want them to come back behind us. And it's like, look, stand back here for just a second. And let's go take on the evil in the world. Let's go take on the evil in the world that doesn't teach health, which is it's congruent to all of us. There's not a single person on the whole planet that doesn't need their health. Like, it's one of the factors, it's not the only one, it's one of the factors that's common amongst all human beings. So there's no place it doesn't matter if you're white or black or Mexican or Chinese. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. It doesn't matter if you're young or you're old. It applies to everybody. But we have people every single day that go to work, and part of what they do for work is to be antagonistic, work against people's health. It's so, man, this is, I was thinking about that this morning, but it's like, hang on one second and I'll look it up, because hang on one second. We'll get back from the break, and I'll read what the scripture the scripture I read this morning, Acts 19. Started my day. One sec. Okay, everybody, we're back. This is Life with Jason Clemens, DC. We're fired up for you tonight. We're fired up, and we're a little intense, and we're trying to help you. We're trying to help you. We're trying to get your attention tonight and just say, hey, look, we can do better. And I can help you do better. And if you need me to, if you don't need me to do better because you have the power, just keep doing better. If you're one of those people that's been watching the show for a while and you're already doing better, then God bless you and keep on doing better. Just see if you can shine your light a little brighter into the world. But while we were on the break, one of the things I said was, I said, hey, look, there's people out there that get up every day and they work against health. They work against what is good for folks. And it reminded me about the scripture that I said that I was talking about this morning, that I read this morning. It was Acts 19 and Paul in Ephesus. And I may not get um, some of these right, but it was talking about when Paul, you get on down here, I won't read the whole thing, but it was, where were we? There, it was down at the bottom. It was right here. Okay. Riot in Ephesus. So this is Acts 19, verse 23. About that time there arose a great disturbance about the way. A silversmith named Demetrius, who made silver shrines of Artemis, brought in a lot of business for the craftsmen there. Okay, there's a silversmith that made silver shrines of this supposed protector, right? Artemis, I think that I don't know how you say that. That's why I'm saying it tonight. Brought in a lot of business for the craftsmen there. He called them together along with workers in related trades and said, you know, my friends, that we received a good income from this business. And you see and hear how this fellow Paul has convinced and led astray large number of people here in Ephesus and practically the whole province of Asia. He says that gods made by human hands are no gods at all. There is danger not only that our trade will lose its good name, but also that temples of the great goddess Artemis will be discredited, and the goddess herself, who is worshipped throughout the province of Asia and the world, will be robbed of her divine majesty. When they heard this, they were furious and began shouting, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians." Soon the whole city was in an uproar. The people seized Gaius and Aristarchus, Paul's traveling companions, and all of them rushed into the theater together. Paul wanted to appear before the crowd, but the disciples would not let him. Even some of the officials of the province, friends of Paul, sent him a message begging him not to venture into the theater. The assembly was in confusion. Some were shouting one thing, some another, but most of the people did not even know why they were there. The Jews in the crowd pushed Alexander to the front, and they shouted instructions to him. He motioned for the silence in order to make defense before the people. But when they realized he was a Jew, they all shouted in unison about 2 hours, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians." It was simply this, right? The guys that were making money off of this nonsense god that they had created, this protector, this goddess, the guys who were making money didn't like the idea that Paul was coming along and saying that there's only one God, there's only one Jesus, there's only one way, right? And they're like, look, dude, here's what you're doing. You're going to cost us money. You're going to cost us money, and we don't like that. You're messing with our livelihood now. And we don't like that. So I don't know when this story was written, close to 2,000 years ago, something like that, right? Is when Paul was walking the earth, or 1900 years, I don't know how long ago it was, something like that, right? It's not any different today. This thing's been going on for the duration. What did I read? I read an article this week that a bunch of medical doctors are suing RFK Jr. for his stance and his work that he's doing on the vaccines. Because why? Because they're just like the silversmith. Because when somebody comes along and challenges their livelihood, they're going to come back and tell you that they're doing science-based, evidence-based medicine. That the vaccine industry was what has done wonders for America. But go back and study the vaccine industry before 1989 and after 1989. See how many vaccines were given after 1988, 1989 versus how many were given before then. You're telling me that the vaccine industry is based on scientific evidence? It's based on evidence-based medicine? When before 1989 there was 9 vaccines, and after 1989 there was 72 vaccines because of one reason, because of President Reagan signed into law a law that says you can't sue a manufacturer of a vaccine. Then all of a sudden the evidence for vaccines became really important. Why? Because the silversmiths realized how much money they could make by going in that direction. It's the same exact thing that's happening with this 13 medication deal going on right now. Those people are not going to change their ways because they have no financial incentive to change their ways. You get one Casey Means out of, and her brother, what are those, the Means people that all of a sudden have become the spokesperson for wellness? Thank goodness we finally got a medical doctor to do that. They wouldn't listen to Dr. Hyman. They wouldn't listen to Dr. McCullough talk about stuff. They wouldn't listen to a lot of the other people that's been talking about wellness. But now all of a sudden these people are getting popular. And it's like, look, 1 out of 100,000 of them that come out want to talk about this. That it's like, look, that stuff's been going on since the beginning of time. There's been silversmiths in every community all along the way that are going to try to get you sick. They're going to try to sell you crap that makes you sick. And a lot of those people are good people at heart. A lot of those people are hardworking people at heart. But they got to make a living somehow. So what are they going to do? They're going to sell you ice cream. They're going to put out another muffin shop. They're going to do another thing that's going to be full of sugar and toxins and all that sort of thing to make us sick. And you're going to take it and you're going to have a physiological response. Here's what you're going to have. You're going to have a physiological response, right? We got away from our little plant thing, but you're going to put that cell in an environment that is incongruent. It's negative to health. It's opposite of health. What is the cell going to do? When you put the cell in the environment that's opposite of health, what does the cell do? It creates a symptom. It creates a symptom. It creates a light that comes on your dashboard. Remember last night I was talking about my coolant levels low, and it's like the light came on the dashboard. What is the light on the dashboard trying to tell me? It's trying to tell me that hey, Jason, you got low coolant level in your engine. If I ignore the light on the dashboard or I cover the light on the dashboard with a piece of tape, what will I end up having with the engine? Like, it might work for another month. It might work for another year. It might work for another 2 years. But what's going to end up happening are we going to have some sort of catastrophe with that engine if I just ignore what that light is trying to tell me? The answer to that question is yes, right? I'm going to end up with some sort of engine problem because I don't have enough coolant, and the engine tried to tell me, because the people who made the engine gave me a feedback mechanism called a light on my dashboard to let me know that I've got my engine in a bad state. It's incongruent with proper engine function. Well, the same way inside the cell, the author of life, the creator of life, created a warning light for us. It gave us a warning light that says, look, if you put the cell in the wrong environment, the cell in an environment that's incongruent, it's not jiving, it's opposite of health. That cell, here's what that cell is going to do. That cell is going to have the alarm. Then that cell is going to try to adapt. And then that cell is going to fatigue. But in this process, in this fatigue state, the cell is going to send a signal called a symptom to us to tell us that we have the cell in an environment that's incongruent with health. Now, let's go through the 13 medications. Let's go through the 6 medications that you're taking right now. Let's go through any of the medications that anybody's taking right now. Let's just name them off. Like, let's just go through the list, right? We're on a statin because we have high cholesterol. We're on a blood pressure med because we have high blood pressure. We're on some sort of pain medication because we have joint pain or the old famous arthritis. What else? What else we got? We got the acid reflux, right? So we're on that. We're on something like that because we have the GERD. Like it'll just keep going, right? Every single one of these over here is a symptom that the cell, the innate intelligence of the cell, is trying to tell us that you got this cell in an environment that's incongruent with health. Are you having headaches? Are you taking Tylenol for your headaches? Are you taking Advil for your headaches? Are you taking Bayer aspirin for your headaches? What's your drug of choice for your headache? Are you having a headache? You get a headache, you take a drug for your headache. Let me ask you this question. Did the reason that you got the headache, was it because of the lack of the Tylenol in your bloodstream? Did you get a headache because your Tylenol tank went empty? Nope, you did not, right? There's never been a headache in the history of mankind that was caused from the lack of Tylenol in the bloodstream. So what is the headache? What is the function? Why are you getting a headache? Why are you getting migraines? Why are you having these problems? Why are you getting this headache that starts right here at the base of your skull and comes right over the top to your eyeball? Do you think it's because of the lack of Excedrin in your bloodstream? Do you think it's a lack of whatever the migraine medication is, right? Absolutely not. It's not. We can mark one of the 13 off, and now we're down to 12. Okay? Now, we could just go right down the list. There's one after the other, after the other, after the other. Then we can go right down the list like this. Now, sometimes you get your thyroid gland removed because you already went through this issue. You already went through this process years ago. You had a symptom. You were feeling a little sluggish. You were a little tired. You started gaining some weight. You were cold all the time. And then all of a sudden, what did you get? You went to the doctor and they said you were hypothyroid. Like your thyroid wasn't working. And then they started detecting why your thyroid wasn't working. Then they found a nodule on your thyroid. Then they tried to treat it with medicine, and then it didn't work. And then pretty soon you just had to have your thyroid removed. Okay, now that you've had your thyroid removed, that's one of them that's +1. It's like, dude, you're probably going to have to take some sort of thyroid from now on. You don't have a thyroid anymore. You've removed your thyroid. That's a drug that you're probably going to have to take. So I'm not saying that there's not times that a person that doesn't have to take a drug, but what I am saying is that this happened first. This process that of the alarm adapt fatigue situation happened first. And that's the process that creates a symptom. So any symptom, it doesn't matter. Do you have a symptom? Do you have any symptom? You have anxiety, you have depression, you have ADHD, you have acid reflux, you have eczema, you have psoriasis, you have joint pain, you have any symptom whatsoever. It's because the cell is in an environment that's incongruent with health. So what could you possibly do? You could put this cell in an environment that is pro-health, positive. It's for health. It's congruent with health. It operates with health. Put the cell in an environment that it's supposed to be in, put the seed in the environment that it's supposed to be in, and what happens to the seed? It grows the plant. What happens to the cell? It expresses health. And do you get symptoms? Do you get symptoms when you're in a state of health? Absolutely not, unless your symptoms are high energy, feeling great, positive outlook on the life, great concentration, ability to see the world in all of its pieces. Like if those are the symptoms, those are the symptoms of health. If that's what you're having, then that's what's going on. And it's like, man, if you're having symptoms, any symptom, your knee hurts. Your knee hurts. I dealt with that today. Your low back hurts. I dealt with that today. The anxiety, the depression, the GERD, like all the stuff, right? If you're having any of those symptoms whatsoever, you have your body in an environment that's incongruent with health. All you have to do is start to put your body back into an environment that's healthy. That's all you have to do. I promise you, you do not have to disrupt your life. You don't have to go wacko crazy. You don't have to go and just flip everything upside down and get a divorce and throw your kids away and all the stuff. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Look, we're going to do 3 things. We're going to eat well. What does that mean? We're going to get the right fuel. What does that mean? We're going to get complex carbs. From our vegetables. We're going to get complex carbs. Okay? We're going to stop eating. We're going to eat the food that came from the field to the plate. Just stop what you're doing. It's probably 6:50. There's a lot of people out there right now who are eating supper, or you just ate supper. Let me ask you a question. The things that you're eating right now, or the things that you ate today, did it come from a field and end up on your plate? Or, now, we all know that the animals that you ate, the meat that you ate, went to some place that they had to butcher the animal. I know they didn't just put the animal on your plate, right? So, I'm not talking about the butcher shop that ended up bringing the meat to the grocery store. I'm talking about, did it have to go to a factory in order to be processed? That's a very simple way of understanding what a complex carbohydrate is. Now we can get more complicated than that, but I promise you, if you started there, if your only problem that you were having was that you were eating white potatoes instead of sweet potatoes or purple potatoes, if you were eating white potatoes instead of your asparagus or your okra, if you were eating those and that was the only problem you had, if you were eating your watermelons instead of your raspberries and your blueberries, I promise you, your health would improve. If that's the only mistake that you were making with your food, but that's coming from the field and it's coming to the plate. So think about all the things that you ate today. Did you eat a hamburger bun? Did you eat a Pop-Tart? Did you eat a donut? Did you eat a muffin? Did you eat a what else? A sandwich? Did you eat a sandwich? And then there's the bread on the sandwich. Like, where did that come from? Some of you are ancient grain people. Good for y'all. Some of you guys are milling your own stuff. Okay, fine. Like, you brought it from the field and you brought it right into your kitchen, and then you just grinded it up and then you put it on your plate. All right, it didn't go into a factory. That's one of the simple ways. If you're at home right now and you don't understand what a complex carbohydrate is, it's something that takes a longer time to get your blood sugar to rise. That's what a complex carbohydrate is. It's like, look, that's what we want to eat. We want to eat from a carb standpoint. If you're going to eat carbs, try to eat complex carbohydrates. We're going to eat well. From a protein standpoint, that's any animal that you're going to eat. And you're going to get protein from other things like beans, and there's things that you can eat that will give you protein. But if you're just trying to get simple, just try to get wild. Don't get wild yourself. Just get wild protein. Try to eat an animal that's wild, that hasn't been fed grains and things like that. You'll be better off that way. It'll be simple. Just eat your meat, eat your grass-fed meat, eat your wild chickens, eat your wild turkeys, eat your wild fish. Don't drink your wild turkey, eat wild turkeys. Okay? Eat your fish from the ocean, not a farm, from the ocean. That's how you get good proteins if you're going to eat animals, right? And then get good healthy fats. Like avocados is a good one. Nuts from a tree is a good one. Olive oil is a way that you could go there. Okay, those are good healthy fats. Just start right there. Just start doing those things. Tell your wife, if you're a man, tell your wife, hey, look, I want to start doing this. If you're a wife, just start doing this. If your husband says, what's for supper? Say, this is what's for supper. And if he throws a fit, just let him throw a fit. He'll throw a fit, get over it. He'll gripe about it. He'll complain about it, whatever, because that's what men do. Because they're just, sometimes it takes them a long time to come around with it. Just tell them you love them, pat them on the head, scratch them behind the ear, and say, look, I love you. We're going to do it this way for a while. That's what we're going to do. We're going to eat better. We're just going to try to not eat things that came from a factory. We're going to eat things that came from nature. Okay? Then we're going to move. We've got to move our feet. Don't tell me that you worked all day long and that you exercise at work. Don't tell me that. Move your feet. Go for a walk. Just walk for 30 minutes. If you can't do anything else, walk for 30 minutes. If you can't do that, do this. 10 air squats every hour throughout the day. Now, every single one of us can do that unless you got some sort of knee or hip problem, right? You can do that. You can at least walk for 30 minutes, or you can get you just do some air squats. Just do those every hour. Just do 10 of them. Next hour, do another 10 of them. Next hour, do another 10 of them. That's something you can do to move. It's a starting point. It's a starting point to help you move your body towards health. Okay? Eat well, move well, think well. This is copyrighted by Dr. Chestnut. Okay? All right. Think well. We got to start asking yourself, what are you thinking about throughout the day? What are the things that you're saying to yourself? What are the things that you're reading? What are how much time are you spending on your social media? What are the things that are you doing? Like, who are you hanging around with? Are you hanging around with that guy that sees the negative in every single thing all day long? Are you listening to that guy that's griping and bitching and moaning about something all the time? Do you feel like it's wearing off on you like that? Right? Did you ever spend a few minutes with somebody that's actually on fire for life? Do you ever spend a little bit of time just listening to somebody talk that's just fired up to be on the planet? That doesn't believe the country's going to hell in a handbasket? That doesn't believe that everything is just horrible? Right? See if you can find somebody like that. See if you can start to just read a book. Just see if you can do something. Make your bed. That's what Dr. Peterson says. Just make your bed. My daughter did a whole, she had to read a book, make your bed. Some Marine guy says, like, just that's one thing you can do is make your bed every day. That'll start your thinking well. If you start moving your feet and you start getting the proper nutrition, you're going to start to have more energy. And when you have more energy, your brain's going to start to function better. And then we're going to snowball this thing. It's going to move itself forward. And that is the same exact thing that every single person, look, the lining of your intestine is 3 days old. The cell in the lining of your intestine is 3 days old. How many people, look around right now and ask yourself, how many people have a suntan? I had a girl yesterday come in, she was burned to a crisp. I bet you when she comes back in 2 weeks or next week, I bet you she's not burned to a crisp like she was yesterday. I bet you she gets new cells on her face. I bet you that those burn cells fluff off and she gets new cells. The bone cells break themselves down and build themselves back up. Your body gets new cells. When the new cell shows up, The new cell doesn't know how jacked up your life used to be 48 hours ago. Those new cells don't know that you used to drink Cokes. Those new cells don't have any idea that you used to eat those refined carbohydrates all the time. They're brand new cells. They're just showed up to the party and they're like, "All right, I'm here to do my thing." And it's like, "Okay, well, do your thing with okra and asparagus and some grass-fed steaks. Do your thing with some grass-fed hamburger. Do your thing with some free-range chickens. Do your thing with some eggs." Right? Okay, do your thing. And the cell's going to be like, "Okay, I'll do my thing." Because it's brand new. And it's brand new, it's just going to start. That's how quickly a person that is sick can get well. The person that is not doing well can just improve their health. And that's what we do with these people that come in. If you're super sick, I'll help you. If you don't need my help, then just start doing it for yourself. And you'll start to notice. And before we have our show tomorrow night at 6, which we're out of time for tonight, but before we get to tomorrow night at 6, you'll already start being better. You'll be healthier by 6 o'clock tomorrow if you just start right now. And by Monday, you'll just be like unbelievably better. Your joint pain will be better. Your sleeping will be better. I look forward to seeing you. Hey, that's all I got for you tonight. I'm out of time. You guys have a great night. Sorry, I know that was a little quick, but we ran out of time. If you got any questions or comments, please send them to me. And I hope you guys got something out of that.